On the last World Cup video, we were looking at the final match day of the second round in Asian qualifying, including this great goal from Rashidov of Uzbekistan. This time, we're looking at the 2016 OFC Nations Cup, also known as the second round of Oceanian qualifying. And it was played, all games, at the Sir John Guy's Stadium in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. We start in Group B with the usual suspects, New Zealand, as they faced off against Fiji. And as you saw there, New Zealand opened the scoring on 16 minutes through Zimpoulos. Towards the end of the first half, Rory Fallon doubled New Zealand's lead on 41 minutes. The game wasn't over yet though. New Zealand conceded a penalty in first half injury time and Fiji gladly converted it via Krishna. Unfortunately for Fiji, they returned the favour for New Zealand in the second half, conceding a penalty with a handball. Chris Wood converted this one on 61 minutes, and that was that, the final score, New Zealand 3, Fiji 1. In Group B's other opening game, Vanuatu took on the Solomon Islands, and this goal in the 19th minute through Donga, nice finish at that, was the only goal of the game, so the score finished Vanuatu 0, Solomon Islands 1. We stay with Vanuatu as we head on to the second match day. They took on New Zealand next, and in the second half they managed to keep a clean sheet. In the first half, however, not so much. Chris Wood scoring in the 4th and 5th minute to give New Zealand a quick 2-0 lead. Only 5 minutes later, McGlinchey scored this free kick for New Zealand to make it 3-0. In the 19th minute, Rory Fallon showed a lot of composure to make it 4-0 to New Zealand. And on the stroke of half-time, Barbarouses ran onto that flick to fire home New Zealand's 5th. As I said, in the second half, Vanuatu kept a clean sheet, so the final score was only 5-0. Rave it up! Elsewhere on match day 2, the Solomon Islands took on Fiji, and the match was heading to a 0-0 draw when, well, boom! Fijian penalty. Krishna again was taking it, and again he scored. Final score, Solomon Islands 0, Fiji 1. We headed into the final matchday in Group B with Fiji v Vanuatu, and there was all to play for as the top 3 go through, so everyone still had a chance. And Vanuatu definitely wanted to take that chance when they opened the scoring in the 19th minute through Fred. In the 41st minute, Masao Vakalo rounded the keeper and doubled Vanuatu's lead. Not entirely convinced by his celebration, however. In the second half, on 51 minutes, Fiji got a goal back thanks to a great goal from Kautoga. With just over 20 minutes left to play, Fiji were level. Krishna scoring again, this time with a diving header in the 69th minute. A little bit later, Vanuatu got themselves a penalty for that foul. It was scored by Brian Kaltak on 75 minutes, and that was the final score, 3-2 to Vanuatu. Group B's final game was New Zealand against the Solomon Islands, and the Solomon Islands, after almost getting a draw against Fiji, must have been mighty gutted when the same thing happened against New Zealand, conceding in the 80th minute to a goal from Adams. So, the final score was 1-0 to New Zealand. In the group standings, obviously New Zealand are top with 3 wins out of 3. The other 3 teams all finished on 3 points, but thanks to goal difference, it's the Solomon Islands and Fiji that go through. In Group A, the hosts Papua New Guinea faced off against New Caledonia in their opening game. New Caledonia thought they'd open the scoring in the first half, however they were stopped for offside, and it was Papua New Guinea that were taking the lead, semi-scoring on 41 minutes. New Caledonia did get their goal, however it was a lot later than planned, 83 minutes in fact, Saiko scoring with a lovely volley. Late on, Papua New Guinea were given a chance to win the game. They got themselves a penalty. Somehow, that was all they showed on the clip. They didn't score it though. Hit the bar, the final score 1-1. The other teams in Group A were Tahiti and round 1 winners, Samoa. But Tahiti did open the scoring on 2 minutes thanks to a goal from Taonui Tehau. And on 5 minutes, Tahiti were 2-0 up, the same player scoring again. 10 minutes later and Tahiti were already 3-0 ahead. At this one, a wonderful volley from Chonghue. The first half demolition was not finished, unfortunately, for Samoa, and Alvin Tahau scored a great goal on 39 minutes. Like Vanuatu against New Zealand, Samoa managed to keep a clean sheet in the second half, so it only finished 4-0. We stay with Tahiti as they took on Papua New Guinea in the second round of matches, and it was the hosts that opened the scoring in first half injury time from Guinea. Papua New Guinea were able to make it 2-0 on 64 minutes thanks to a fantastic second goal from Guinea. 2 minutes later and Tahiti were back in the game, Alvin Tahau scoring. Tahiti had a goal disallowed later on when Taonui Tehau was found offside. However, he made amends in the 76th minute when he poked home Tahiti's equaliser, and that was the final score, 2-2. Next up, New Caledonia took on Samoa, and this time Samoa managed to hold out until the 18th minute before conceding, Kaiara scoring the goal. 10 minutes later and New Caledonia were 2-0 up, Nemia scoring a great goal. From distance, Kaiara got his second goal of the game on the half hour. Samoa then conceded a penalty, which Zayula of New Caledonia converted on 37 minutes, meaning they were 4-0 down at half-time for the second game in a row. Unfortunately for Samoa, they couldn't keep another second-half clean sheet, and after a goalmouth scramble, Wadriako scored on 53 minutes. 5-0 became 6-0 when Suzumi scored in the 78th minute. New Caledonia just kept on attacking, and late in the game they got themselves another penalty. This time Tahiti taking it and scoring it with a minute left to play. The final score was New Caledonia 7, Samoa 0. After conceding 11 goals in their first 2 games, the fun was not over for Samoa, and they took on the hosts Papua New Guinea, who needed a win next. Papua New Guinea had to wait until the 13th minute to open the scoring, Foster scoring it, but then 20 minutes later they were 2-0 up, Guinea scoring again. Samoa managed to end the half only conceding 2 goals, but spoiler alert, they're not going to enjoy the second half, and Foster scored his second of the game on 51 minutes to make it 3-0. In the 58th minute, Dabinyama had the ball handed to him on a silver platter, and he couldn't miss to make it 4-0 to Papua New Guinea. The Samoan goalkeeper was at fault for PNG's 5th goal, Guinea pouncing on his fumble on 63 minutes. Despite protests, there was no offside, and Upaiga was awake enough to score PNG's 6th goal in the 67th minute. Papua New Guinea was 7-0 up on 74 minutes when Dabinyama pounced on a rebound to score his second. And there was still time for Guinea to get his hat-trick in the 85th minute to leave the final score at 8-0 to Papua New Guinea. Group A's final game was between Tahiti and New Caledonia, and we had to wait until the 80th minute to see any sort of goal. Kai scoring it to give New Caledonia the lead. And after waiting so long for a goal, typically another one came not too long later, as a cheeky back heel from Taonui Tehau made it 1-0 for Tahiti in injury time, and that was the final score. In the group standings, Papua New Guinea, New Caledonia and Tahiti all go through on 5 points. That's it for this video. In the final of the OFC Nations Cup, New Zealand beat Papua New Guinea on penalties. Back in the autumn, like and subscribe.